Happy Wednesday. How are you today?
Good morning, Sifu. I am excellent. How are you today?
Exceptional, getting better every day.
Love it.
I'm excited for today's show. We have two amazing guests.
We
And
do, and I know them personally, so I'm
I
excited.
know, thank you so much for inviting them. And now I'm going to get to know them a little bit. So let's go ahead and bring them on. We got Jamie and we have Matt. Hello, hello. How are you?
Good morning.
Greetings.
Great to
So,
see you guys.
yeah,
Excited
so
to be here.
we're going to talk about emotional intelligence, purpose, all this fun stuff. So would you, we're going to make this extremely conversational. So jump in anytime. You can even interrupt me, right? Let's make it fun. If you have a great joke, I'd love to hear it. So, but today's conversation is going to definitely be about unleashing your purpose through emotional intelligence. Who'd like to take the floor or the stage, should we say?
Oh, I'm honored, and it's really cool to be together with Jamie on this for this conversation because I live to help people find their purpose in life. That's what I'm on this planet to do. And what's really interesting and what I love about my journey is that it took me 58 years being on this planet to figure that out. Just to tell people that it's never too late. It's never, ever, ever too late to figure out why you're on this planet and how to reach out and just let it happen. And so I'm thrilled that you guys are having us and to have I love to purpose hunt. That's why I'm the purpose hunter. I love being here to help people find their purpose or give them clues and let them get some great insights.
I love it. I love it. And Jamie, how about yourself?
Well, first of all, thank you again for the invitation. I'm very excited. And Nikki's been on my podcast. Matt is going to be on tomorrow. And Sifu, we're scheduling you. And I think the reason that we're all here is because we all believe in the power of living your purpose. And emotional intelligence is all about understanding who you are and how to develop those great relationships in life. And like Matt, it took me more than 5 decades to really realize not just what my purpose is, but who I am. And I had sort of a Damascus moment a few years ago when I discovered that I'm not my job title, I'm not what other people say I am, and I'm not my trauma or anything like that. I'm just Jamie. And once I figured out that I'm Jamie, then that was the invitation to go inside and say, so who am I really? What do I love to do? And what do I bring to the world and other people?
I love it. I already see the t-shirt, just Jamie.
Yeah.
I love that. Just Jamie. Yeah, all really great questions that you shared, Jamie, because I know I could speak for myself, and I'm sure so many others that we see ourselves from our past experiences and the labels that we've been given. And so just to ask yourself, who am I? Now, I'm not my job title, I'm not my school experience, I'm just Jamie.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, that's Jamie.
Yeah.
You're just Nikki.
I'm just Nikki. Yes.
You're channeling me.
I'm channeling you. Yes. Put on my
Yeah,
Jamie hat.
yeah.
Well, the beauty about being who you are is no matter where you go, there you are. Right?
Yeah, John Kabat-Zinn, I believe, said that, wonderful meditation guru and someone who's really, I think, helped people discover that I used to do those geographical cures. I thought, well, if I just move, then I can reinvent myself and nobody will know me. But then I realized that I do come with me. And therefore, I needed to not only get to know myself, but like and love myself and say, this is who I am. Or if I didn't like some aspect of myself, then who do I want to be? What kind of person do I want to be in the world? So, yeah.
Yeah, I love that. You made me think of a method actor. They engage in that role for the duration of the movie, even when they're offset, because they don't want to cross bridges, if you will, while they're filming.
Mhm.
So do we cross bridges in our lives? That's a question for everybody.
Mm.
Right. Yeah. think I'm going to jump in on that because I think I've always found it almost impossible to sit there and say, I'm going to be this person I am at work today, and I'm not going to be this person who I really am at home. And you know, people say, oh, I'll just leave that at home. You say, you know, you'll lie about other things too if you do that, because it just doesn't work where you can say, I am this person at home and I'm this person at work. It's who you are. And it's funny, one of the things that had me on this journey of purpose was it's not a matter of finding your purpose, although I always talk about that. I'm the purpose hunter. It's about the purpose finding you. And it's really interesting to me when you are actually yourself, like what Jamie was talking about. When you're yourself, it's like this purpose emerges over here from a totally unexpected place. It comes, it hits you in the chest, and you go, now what do I do? And that's what that to me is an exciting place to be. It's like, what do I do next? Well, yeah, you've just tasted a little bit of your purpose. You've tasted it. And now how do you live it every day? And that's always a challenge. Nikki and Jamie, when you were on my show, that's what we talked about. How do you live it every day? Because finding it or it finding you, that's the first part. But then it's like, oh, how do I do this every day? Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. I'll tell you, that reminds me of not only living my purpose, but what is my value system? And one thing that I've been really digging into is not just naming my values, but actually defining them. Like if I say integrity is a value, then what does it mean to live into integrity? What does it mean to live that every day? And integrity is important because that's living into my purpose. You know, I was a professor for more than 2 decades, and I resisted doing it because I didn't want to look like the frumpy English teacher with the glasses and the skirts. And guess what? I'm not frumpy, but I was that English teacher who showed up in a skirt, and I used to wear glasses. And I realized that I needed to be a teacher because I had been a teacher pretty much all my life, just naturally. And so when I finally said, I sort of agreed with the universe, yes, okay, you're right, it is time for me to go live into that thing, then that's when all the dominoes fell into place. And then when that time was done and it was time for me to live into a different dimension, I guess, I went to divinity school and I became a chaplain. And that's how I ended up being a coach and a positive intelligence coach, because that became another way for me to live into my purpose, which was to serve people in another way.
Wow. That is huge what you said, Jamie, about your values, because they're the most important things to us and they motivate us. And I know that I have done a lot of work around values. And when I say that I value something and I don't be that value, if I say that I value fun, let's just say, and there's a part of me that resists fun because there's some negative from the past, then I experience conflict and I move away from my goal. So it's really important for us to spend a little bit of time. What you say you value, show up and be that. If you value love, are you being a lovable person? Right? So
How do you?
How interesting. Go ahead, Sifu. I was going to say what I
Go for it. You're on, Matt.
Okay. Right. What I was going to say was that I'm shocked at how many people really do not have an understanding of what's most important to them in each one of their arenas. If you're going to try to have a value, or do you have a value, do you have an understanding? And this is the self-reflection thing that comes in. And it's something that I never realized. I just enjoy going deep really quickly with people in conversations to really let them uncover what is it that's most important to you. Because what's most important to you, and you get excited about that, that's how you inspire other people you meet. And I think that a lot of people are going, oh, am I boring you with this? I'm going, boring me? I'm inspired when you get excited about something, but have you what's most important to you along the way? If you haven't, it's really hard to stay focused on that value and then to actually figure it out. Because if you're going to live your purpose every day, that's the key. And most people don't know, oh my gosh, what's most important to me in this arena that I happen to be operating within. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. You know what I love, Matt, that you just brought up is deep conversations. and it
Mhm.
shows your emotional quotient, if you will, because you're bringing something that most people don't, and that's listening. So I can dive.
Mhm.
I want to understand where you are. So a lot of times, and Jamie, you talk about emotional intelligence. I think empathy, in order to be emotionally involved in a conversation, is you kind of have to listen to what they're saying. And even sometimes if we don't agree with them, we can still respect them for their value. Right? A lot of times we forget the little things in life, which is just listening.
Yeah, you just hit the nail on the head. And empathy is probably one of the most important aspects of, I think, a solid, healthy relationship. Empathy for yourself, for when you make a mistake or whatever, and empathy for the other person, like you say, which involves that deep listening. And I think oftentimes people are thinking about the next thing they want to say, and then you didn't hear anything the other person said. You just heard it through this filter of, this is what I'm going to say next, versus suspending that desire to jump in and just listening with curiosity and saying, okay, wow, I didn't think of it like that, and that must have been really tough for you, not trying to solve people's problems, not that they want you to anyway. So yeah.
Right.
Mhm. Yeah, we don't want to be fixed, right?
Well,
Yeah,
no.
there's
Well, I'm
nothing
going
to
to throw
fix.
another word out there because I think something that goes right with that is vulnerability. And I'm
Oh
going to tell
yeah.
you the vulnerable, as far as emotional intelligence, I believe anyways, if a person is not willing to be vulnerable to whoever they're with,
Yeah.
good luck on them getting to let other people know who they are. And the listening part of that and the vulnerability part of that, how do you separate those? Jamie, I don't know how you separate those two pieces, because I think it's really almost, I don't want to say it's impossible, but how do you do that? If you're not vulnerable yourself, you can listen
Mhm.
honestly with someone else.
Yeah. I think vulnerability gives people permission to be themselves, because as somebody else said one time, he said, "Well, now that you've opened your kimono, I'm going to open mine." And so I had shared something personal with him. And this is a professional relationship. I actually met him on LinkedIn through somebody else. And then we became friends, and we developed a deep respect for each other because we were able to just be honest about where we were, what we want, how we help people. And we discovered so many commonalities because we were able to just dive in and be vulnerable. And that doesn't mean tell everybody all your problems, but it does mean, here I am, this is who I am, and I'm a human being who's made mistakes and has been through some rough times, and but that's what made me me.
Oh yeah. Yeah, you said something really powerful, Jamie, about giving yourself permission, right? Permission to be yourself and even have some grace towards yourself. I know for myself that I have tried to be other people with the intention to be more accepted and liked. And
Mhm.
then I'm out of integrity with myself because that's not being true to me and true to my values. So it's taken a very long time to say, this is who I am. You can like me. Great. I could not be your cup of tea, and that's great too, because I'm not for everybody.
Mhm.
I want to give a quick shout out to some of the people who are listening to us. Enrique Acosta Gonzalez, thank you. Dominique Levesque, thank you. And Michael Faber. Michael Faber said, this is so, actually, let me grab his post. What he said is so good. Simple 2 words, so good. And what I love is that everyone is awesome as usual. So consider, we all have a shadow, but so many of us try to run from it.
Mhm.
But no, even if the sun is not shining, you still cast a shadow. So instead
Yeah.
of running from it, play with it, be it. So allow your shadow to show up wherever you go. And that is your kind of what makes you. We may not even consider a shadow, but when I move my hand and it moves It's like, wow, that's pretty cool. And it's also incredible when you see a cat or a dog see themselves for the first time in a mirror.
Yeah.
They're like, who is that? And they're like, oh, they want to
Yes,
attack. And
yes.
it's so funny if you ever see with some of these videos, they start growling really mad. But
Mhm.
we do that when we look in the mirror and we judge ourselves
Yeah.
negatively.
Mhm.
Oh, you know
Mhm.
what? Oh, I'm too heavy here. Or look at my nose, look at my ears or my hair.
Yeah.
What would happen to all of us if we could not see? Would we still have that respect for ourselves? If we were all blind, we wouldn't be able to
Mm.
judge people we can only judge based on only what they say. So the
Mhm.
words and probably their actions. But we judge so quickly without knowing even about their shadow, which is the deeper part of a person. So we should consider in a deep conversation like Matt talked about to pay attention, to engage, to go deep, to, hey, you know what, if somebody says, listen, I was burnt in a fire, I never was. I might have been burnt by hot water or something like that, but I was never in a fire to be burnt or have that experience. But it's the way we let them know that we care, we hear, and we're sorry you went through these things.
Mhm.
So when
Mhm.
somebody dies, right? We want to be able to say, I'm sorry for your loss, not that like, oh yeah, my sister died too. No, that's not
Mhm.
the right. So we have to
Mhm.
understand that when we speak, those words catch.
Right. You know what else is interesting about what you just said is that I have a feeling that most people, there are clues right in front of their face. So
Mhm.
much right in front of their face. It's like this. It's like they're trying to look for this thing, and this thing's following them around. They're going like this, and go. I step back and I'm pointing this, going, "Do you know there's something right in front of your face that is actually who you are? That's actually why you're on this planet, and
Mhm.
you are so enthusiastic and passionate about it that inspires me." And then it allows your relationship to go another level, but it's right in front of their
Mhm.
face. Why is that? Why? It's like that shadow. It's like, where is that? It's right in front of your face. And I think that's what I like to do is I like to make people think so deeply that they actually reflect on that thing that they haven't thought about.
Yes, Matt, that is awesome because sometimes it does take somebody else to see it. I know people when I get to talk about things like my writing or the dancing that I do or whatever, they say, Jamie, you just lit up when you talked about that. And I'm like, oh, okay. I didn't even realize how passionate I was about a thing. And I have to just tell a very quick anecdote. When I was teaching, one of the courses I taught was Intro to Literature. And of course, I love literature. And so I brought that passion to the classroom. And most of my students were not majors in English. It was a course they took on their way to fulfill their general ed requirements. And this one student wrote in the eval, you were so passionate about literature that I actually went out and bought a book because I felt like I wanted that too. And I thought, yes, then I did my job.
Mhm.
So yeah.
If we
And
impact one person, right? That's all we really need to do, right? I
right.
know
And
that's what you were going to say, Matt. I could tell.
oh, and it wasn't, and it's. I think it's a responsibility. Think about this. This is a bold statement. I think it's a responsibility for every single human being to allow other people to feel what you're passionate about, not just see
Yeah.
it, but
Mhm.
feel it. Because
Mhm.
if they do, they will be inspired. And if they don't, because you didn't do it,
Mhm.
you might be the only person that could actually you might be the only person that's keeping them from finding their purpose or being inspired by you because you didn't get excited.
Yeah, so you're giving themselves a gift by being
Mhm.
yourself, being who you
Mhm.
are, showing that excitement and passion. It's a gift to somebody else, and it doesn't cost you anything.
Oh man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely, you're dead on. Consider what we do every day, how we do it, and why we do it. So that really comes down to the thoughts we have.
Mhm.
Speaking with knowledge based on just blurting whatever comes to your mind at first. You know how some people say, I have no filters, and they'll say whatever? Man,
Mhm.
some people do need a little bit of a filter so that the words land better
Mm.
instead of trying to be like outrageous. It's okay to be outrageous, by the way. I think I love people like that because they make you think. But sometimes that
Mhm.
rage becomes somebody else's rage. So we need to be
Mm.
when we just speak off the cuff. Can I share this with you guys? Just take a look.
Welcome to Speaking Prowess, where we believe in the power of communication to transform lives. If you're ready to take your communication skills to the next level, we have a lineup of some of the most influential communication experts in the industry. These are the voices that will guide you on a journey to enhance your ability to connect, influence, and succeed. At Speaking Prowess, our mission is clear: to empower you through effective communication. We know that mastering the art of communication isn't just about what you say. It's about how you say it and the impact it has on every aspect of your life. So take action now and get ready to embark on a journey towards personal and professional growth.
Thinking about even the video we just watched,
Mhm.
see the impact that words have. I love that little boy who's just practicing in front of the mirror. And one of the things that public speakers should not be the only ones practicing in front of the mirror. It should be all of us. It should be probably when you're in front of the mirror, just to have that conversation with yourself and say, man, you're awesome. You're beautiful. It doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. But you can also say, hey, it's going to be a tough day, but you got this.
Mhm.
Finish the day, we're going to be happy no matter how tough it is that we're alive. So we should have that conversation daily. The question I have for everybody is, do you, or do we forget?
Well, that's an awesome, do we forget how if you're not aware of what's most important to you in your mental arena, which is what you're talking about.
Mhm.
If you're not aware of that and you want to try to bring that forward, it's like, how do you try to live something like that every day? If it's not in front of your, if you're not that familiar with it, I call it having a compass. And the compass you have, if you've designed it for yourself, is what is most important to me. I've put words on it. And in my mental arena, I know this. So I can actually look at myself in the mirror and then say, if I'm not that, I can be that. Or how do I make sure I'm still that? Or which way do I go with that? And I really, so I love that, what you just challenged all of us, which is, if you're not sure within your own mental arena what that looks like to be the ideal person you want to be, good luck trying to make sure you're on track with that.
Yeah, that goes to intentionality. And Sifu, you mentioned it, and Nikki and Matt. The idea is not to just fly off the cuff, not to just not really consider, again, who we are, what makes us happy, what brings us joy, and how we bring that passion to other people. But it does involve self-reflection and self-awareness. And so it goes down to values. And the other thing is, Matt, when you were talking about helping people find their purpose, I think underneath a lot of the problem is fear. Fear of what might happen, fear people won't like us, fear that we're not going to be good enough. And if we can uncover the fear and embrace it and say, yeah, I am a little bit afraid, but I'm going to do this thing that makes me happy. I'm going to figure out a way to do it, not to just pretend the fear doesn't exist or push it away, but part of that shadow is the fear. So
Absolutely.
embrace it and acknowledge it and make
Yeah.
friends with it.
Yes, embrace it and make friends with it. I had this thought the other day, and this came to my mind as you were all talking. Raise your hand if you've heard somebody say, I'm my own worst enemy. I get in my way. And it's like, it's become acceptable socially because it's almost universal. And I thought to myself, what if I decided to make friends with myself? Like, that's a new thought that I had. What if when I woke up, we're talking to ourselves anyway, right? What if when I woke up, I said, good morning, beautiful. Imagine that. Like, instead of, oh, I'm so tired, I should have got to bed earlier last night. I say this all the time, right? If we're going to have this dialogue, you're laughing, Jamie, because you probably.
Yeah, because I said that to myself.
Every day I say, oh, I said I was going to go to bed earlier and I didn't. And we talk to ourselves not nicely, right? So what if we started just being our own best friend? What would change for you then?
Oof.
Yeah.
Can you imagine you say beautiful and you go, who, me? You're talking to me?
Yeah.
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 Maybe that's what we have to start because we don't believe it.
Mm-hmm.
But the more, listen, when somebody tells a lie, the more they tell the lie, the more they believe it. So instead of lying, why don't we say the truth?
Yeah.
And look in the mirror and just say, I love you. I love you. That's it. Maybe you don't believe you're beautiful yet. Maybe you don't believe you're amazing, but show that self-love. Speak those words, but don't just do it in the morning. I mean, you tell me, look at the mirror. Oh yeah, look at me. And why do you think fashion models do that? Anytime they pass a mirror, a bodybuilder, what do you think they're doing? They're like, right? So they are giving into the idea that I am the best thing in front of you. I am amazing. Start with that.
And maybe channel your biggest champion. If it's your best friend or your child or a sister, brother, whatever, channel that person and think, why are these people in my life? So if there are wonderful people in your life, chances are they think you're wonderful too, right? And so remember, what kind of company do you keep? If you keep the kind of company of people who bring you down, then maybe you need to go find different company. But if the people that you're around nourish you and fulfill you and make you happy, chances are they feel the same way about you.
Right.
So embrace that.
I think as a coach, what I do, and I know everybody on this call does as a coach, a good coach allows you to see some things in yourself that you can't see by yourself. And what I've learned is when I have somebody who has actually read my book, Purpose Hunting, and they go, I know that some people have never even brought it up, and I'm going, that's really weird. Tell me I'm crazy. Tell me I don't know what I'm talking about, or tell me it made sense. And a lot of times because my book forces them to look in the mirror. And when they don't like what they see, that's the point, is if you don't like what you see, you can change and make, who do you want to become? Who's the ideal person you want to be? And a lot of times you don't have a coach that helps you, guide you on that. It's really a difficult journey by yourself because you get stuck with, oh, look at that, see a role here, this, that, but like you said, Sifu, if you say it enough times, you're going to believe it. That's why I'm only 39. Hey, the calendar says I'm 66, but I don't ever listen to the calendar because I feel like I'm 39. I say it all the time. And you know what? I actually feel that way. I don't look, I go look at, who's that guy in the mirror? It's not me. Does that make sense? I don't know if I'm resonated. That's what I see.
You know what I see? I see a better version than yesterday.
Perfect.
Oh, yeah.
It is.
I love that.
In the 4 agreements, the 4th agreement is be the best person you can be. So be impeccable with your word. It's not about you. Don't take it personally. And think about, who you want to be in the world. But the 4th one is be the best you can be. And if Monday is awesome and Tuesday may not be perfect, that's okay. That's the best you could be on Tuesday. But Wednesday's another day. And so just bringing your best self and knowing that it's not going to be the same best self every day, that's okay. It's who you are that day. If it's raining and you hate rainy days, then maybe you're not going to be as thrilled and happy, but do the best you can with that rain or the clouds or whatever it is that makes you feel a certain way.
Yeah, it's that 1% improvement, just a little bit
Mhm.
each day, and celebrating that.
Sometimes it's not even 1%, it's 1/10%. And
Yes,
that's
Yeah.
good.
and
Mhm.
that's good too. Yeah,
Yeah. Or
Let's
good
let's
enough, right?
consider,
enough.
let's consider we've been talking about the self-talk. Let's consider when others talk to us. How
Mm.
are they talking to us? The words they use, the language they use, the way they speak it, the actions that they take towards us. How do we navigate those waters? Maybe they have no intelligence when it comes to
Mm.
emotion.
Mhm.
Do we always take it personally? Do we say,
Mm.
hey, you know what? It's really not about me? It seems like that person has a problem. Because being thyself is probably the most important thing you can do in this world. And that's why I always say, take care of you first. That's why the airlines say that too. That's why any situation calls for you to take care of yourself so that you can help people. And I know that everybody on this panel is talking about that exact thing because if you learn something and you don't share it,
Mhm.
being selfish or selfless. Now, if you share it, what are you being? So anytime I encourage people not to keep it to themselves. So for example, that's an actual $100 bill. Why do I keep it
Mm.
there? Because
Mm.
I realize that that $100 bill is not mine. It belongs to someone who needs it more than me.
Mm.
That's why I put it there. That's not my 100. That was temporarily my 100. And I need to give it away so I can make room for a billion of them. Not a million of them, but a billion of those bills. So, in order for me to take care of me, I need to take care of others. And that will help me and align me with my
Mhm.
purpose, as Matt talked about, right?
Absolutely. That is so interesting you're saying that because it's almost like that's the ace. I'm not a poker player, but if I had an ace in my hand up my sleeve, my ace would be what you're talking about. When people when they're struggling with, I'm not sure what my purpose is. I actually don't know, but I'm not sure. Most of the time they have not thought about who can you serve with your gifts and your passion. And it's wrapped up in that all of a sudden that's where it's in front of your face and you're not seeing it because it's like when you serve somebody else it's so obvious that that's connected to your purpose and you're not meant to let it go to I always say when you learn something from somebody, are you supposed to teach it to somebody else or let it go to that person's grave?
Yeah.
I believe that it's connected to your purpose when you do share it. You don't let it go to that person's grave.
I got to
Sifu, I
show.
need. Oh, go ahead.
Okay, quickly, and then you can. So, my great grandmaster, I teach Kung Fu. He did something extremely ordinary, actually, extraordinary. He knew so much because he, at the age of 8, was put into a monastery and he lived in it and he trained and trained. And one of the styles that I know, he was not allowed to teach it till he was 40 because he was too deadly. And he was not responsible enough to learn that style. When they realized, okay, you're 40 now, you seem more compassionate. Now we're going to teach it to you so you don't go killing more people. He actually had a lot of killings in China because not only was he in World War II, but he also was always challenged. And in China, they used to actually put a whole stage and it was to the death. Like you see in the movies, that was
Ooh,
real.
yeah.
What he did was exceptional because he knew so much, but he knew that he could not teach everything he knew to one person unless they were going to be like him, which is he was always acquiring. So what he did is he taught a portion of his knowledge out to different people so that his skills would not die with him. How do we do that when we've acquired so much knowledge? The most important thing is to teach it to as many people, just like my grandmaster did, so that it does not die with you. And that's why I believe in mentoring so much. Mentoring, you're not going to get paid for. Maybe. And I'm not talking financial. You're going to get paid way more than what the finances could ever bring you. Coaching will pay you financially. And I believe that any coach who's really worth their weight should do both. That's just my.
Yeah. So I love the idea of, you teach parts of things. You don't dump all of your knowledge on one person. And that involves, again, self-awareness and understanding where the other person is, what age they are, where they are in their journey, where they are in their capabilities. And what I heard you say earlier, Sifu, is making room. And to make room, we may need to let something go. We may need to let go of an old idea or an old habit or an old belief. And as soon as we do that, we have created that space. So we're always open to learning. You let go of the idea that you know everything or that you know what other people need. And then once that space is created, who knows what can come in there?
That's right. You make space.
Yeah. I like to call it, Jamie, and you guys have heard me say it, but my life philosophy, I call it the elephant philosophy. The elephant philosophy is, how do you eat an elephant, Sifu? Well, you know what? Any big project, one bite at a time. And so I'm not hurting real elephants. This is a metaphor, but it's a metaphor that works for everything I've ever done in my life. You got to break it into little pieces. And if you're teaching lessons, and Nikki, you made the comment too. When water gets over your nose, you're overwhelmed, right? When life's water goes like that, and when you give them too much information without being aware of what they're taking in, they get overwhelmed. And then when they get overwhelmed, they get paralyzed, and they do nothing usually. And that's our challenge is as coaches, right? Give them enough so they can really make that next incremental change. And that's why I always say, if my daughters learn one thing, it's do things by taking the big project, breaking little pieces, and do it one bite at a time, like any big project you've ever successfully accomplished, whatever that might be.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. That's general advice, I think, universal, right?
Oh, yeah.
Thanks, Paul McFadden, for joining us. I appreciate you. Let's talk about that, Jamie. What you just said, it's universal. Why should it be?
Well, I think we have a lot of high expectations for ourselves. Like, I'm supposed to know this, or how come I didn't know that already, or whatever. Again, we use each other as benchmarks rather than ourselves. And so it's universal to just remember that everything is just one thing at a time. I know my son is applying to colleges right now, and all he can think of is, I have all these things to do. And I said, just do one thing today. Just make a list of the schools you are thinking of going to. And that's all you have to do today. You don't have to write the application. You don't have to send in all these things. Just do this one thing. And by doing that one thing, he felt better. And then he's able to move on to the next day and do one more thing.
Mm-hmm. That's the best way to get you out of procrastination. Because when we feel overwhelmed, like Matt said, the water is up to here, then we don't do anything. And then we can, if you're hard on yourself, beat yourself up, right? Oh, I didn't do that. I said I would. So it's like, what's one small thing I could do today? And you'd be surprised how much momentum you gain. And then you do more. That's
it. And the other part of it is, see, for what you said, why universal? What's really always helped me is having the perspective that it's it's a much larger than me.
Mhm.
It's much larger than me. And the universe obviously is much larger than just me. But what I love about understanding yourself more is then you're able to actually see other people in your in the universe that actually really need your help or are struggling with that. And all of a sudden, before you know it, when they come to you, and if you're using emotional intelligence, and Jamie, you know this so well, when you're using your own emotional intelligence, you're able to see and not blow them out of the water by saying the wrong thing, saying just one little thing wrong with a nuance that they go, there's another person who's going to do that to me, or whatever it's going to be. But understanding and empathetically and, being able to be vulnerable, you sit there, I can really appreciate what you're going through. This just happened. I understand that. And I'm so sorry, but I you know what I'm saying? Does that make sense? That's universal. That's what I understood. There's so much more out there than just me. But that's what I'm called for, because there's so much more out there, I think.
I like telling people that we all live in our own little world. I live in my world, all of you live in your world, but we have a world that we share. Therefore, let's make sure our world is sustainable, that it's viable, that it's got full of energy, so that I can give to the world we share together. Because it's so easy to get into that bubble of our world, to stay there, to stay home, to sit and watch TV all day, to eat all the junk food. It's easy. Wouldn't it be awesome if you can eat all the ice cream and chips and cookies and you would not get unfit? Wouldn't that be amazing? It's all the foods that are bad for us that we crave. It's like people who are in a relationship with a bad person. I'm going to call them bad choices, right? But they keep going for it. They keep going into the cupboard for that person. Like, I want more of this. No, it's time to start weeding it out. And when you realize, you start to taste things more. I eat broccoli with nothing. And people look at me, they're like, aren't you going to put something on it, like some cheese or some sauce? Or I'm like, have you ever tasted broccoli? Of course. And then they put salt on it, or they put and I'm like, have you ever same thing. I'll eat a salad with zero dressing. Don't get me wrong. I like balsamic vinegar and all these different things, but I would say 99% of the time, I eat my raw food raw with nothing. And people look at me and they're like, you don't taste it. I'm like, you're wrong. I taste everything because I took out all the junk out of it. Therefore, I am tasting the essence that you are missing. I don't go that deep into them. I just go, no, that's the way I like to eat it.
That's very true. And Jamie, I know you do this with your positive intelligence when you're focusing on that one little thing that might be take a bite of an apple. I think that was one person. You take a bite. Are you really actually tasting what you just bit? Or are you just trying to consume the whole apple? Are you actually tasting the one bite? And you sit there and go, it's marvelous. And yet, then do you need other things on that apple like caramel? Does it taste better to dip that apple in caramel? Well, it could, but when I focus on just what it is, and I think that just having, the seafood, if you don't teach that to somebody else, this is my own opinion. If you understand that and you don't teach it, I'll reverse it. If Matt, if I understand that and I don't teach it, shame on Matt. Now I'm not going to beat myself up, but I'm going, if I don't share it with enthusiasm, how are they going to get it? And they may not. And then all of a sudden, I may miss an opportunity to really connect at that level. I take that responsibility very seriously, because I think everybody has those little things of knowledge and experience.
Ding, ding, ding. That is why Matt and I have podcasts and Sifu and Nikki have this show, right? We're not doing this to make money. We're doing it because we're saying, I have this message. I've gained some insight. and maybe other people can benefit from it. And so I know for me, and I'm pretty sure I speak for everyone, I started the podcast not because I was going to get rich, because I certainly haven't. I started it because I said, you know what? Emotional intelligence and positive intelligence have really served me over the years. And I'm wondering if other people might also benefit from it.
And they sure are. They sure are. Consider, I'm going to leave this as the last question and then we're going to wrap it up. In your whole lifetime, what's the one gift you have given away?
The one gift? Well, the first thing that came to my mind is giving somebody the gift of being seen and heard.
Mm.
Love it. Love it. For me, my one gift is my enthusiasm. I give that to everybody I meet because I have to. If I don't, I'm stealing an opportunity for them to be inspired just because they met me. And if I don't share it. So my gift is my enthusiasm.
Well, the first thing that came to my mind is love. And that love is for myself and the love for the other person. So even if I don't necessarily like them, we're all a part of each other. And so my gift is just to give you love.
Love it, love it. Me personally, I believe that the one gift is communication.
Mm.
This is why I created a platform on communication. This is why I have 6 podcasts. This is why, for me, I listen intently. And it's not about what I'm going to say because you're talking and I'm just thinking, what can I say next to seem bright? No. Sometimes silence is gold.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, silence is powerful.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very uncomfortable to the other person many times, but maybe more so for us, but we just zip it. And I know it is for me.
Especially in a sales call, right? Silence.
Yeah.
I want to thank you both. Nikki, always a pleasure doing the show with you. I'm so happy you said yes. You didn't say yes to the dress. You didn't say yes to my proposal, but yes, you did. You said yes to being my co-host. So I want to thank you for that.
You're welcome. And thank you. I love this. I love having these conversations that matter. So thank you all.
Everybody have yourself the best day ever, whether it's afternoon for Tito who joined us, right? If you are not having your best day, stop right now. Click your finger and say, from this second on, I will. Thank you, everybody. Do me a favor, you guys hang on. We're going to say bye to everybody.
Bye, everybody. See you. Take care.
Bye-bye. Thank you so much.
All right.
Appreciate
Bye-bye.
it.